Oi pessoal, tudo bem? O Eliochi aqui, and today I'm here in the beautiful suburb of Sydney called Kirribilli. Today I'm going to cook for you guys one of my favourite dishes, and I know it's one of the most popular dishes in all of Brazil. It's tapioca pancakes. The reason why I'm cooking tapioca pancakes today is because my nephew and niece, Sobrinho and Sobrinha, are gluten intolerant. And as a result, it's very hard to find snacks for them. But I realized these tapioca pancakes from Brazil are perfect for them. So, no more talk, let's get to it, let's make it. Vamos lá. To make tapioca pancakes, all you need is tapioca starch, salt, and water. Tapioca is traditionally known in Australia as arrowroot. So it's very simple. We mix all the dry ingredients, that is the starch and the salt. But keep in mind, these are served sweet and savoury, so just be careful how much salt you put in. Give it a quick mix. Then add enough cold water to cover the dry ingredients by about 1 centimetre or 1.5 centimetres. Now mix really well to make sure all the dry ingredients have been absorbed, and when complete, just let it rest for about half an hour. When you return, you'll find the mixture is actually quite hard, but there's a lot of water at the top. We need the consistency to be hard and brittle, just like a piece of chalk or honeycomb. You may have to continuously add more starch flour and rub it in until you get to this point, just like I'm doing now. But be warned, if it feels hard but has cracks like these, it's probably not ready. If you dig down about 1 inch, you'll find that it's actually still soft. And the problem is, when it comes time to grate these hard clumps that you can see here, they won't grate. It'll just turn into a slime. But as you can see, there's a simple fix. Add more starch flour and just keep patting it in. Eventually you'll know when it's done, because like this, it is rock solid and there are no cracks. The test, of course, is to shove the spoon in and it should shatter, just like honeycomb or chalk. You'll be able to crush it into a powder just using your hand. This means it's so rehydrated that it's actually dry. And what we want to do is pulverize it or grind it into a powder. And this is the powder we're going to use to make the pancakes. So like you can see, put it over a sieve, get a nice hard grinding stone from a mortar and pestle, and just grind it until it becomes a flour in the bottom of the bowl. It should have the appearance of soft white couscous. Now repeat this process until all the hardened starch has become flour. And while I do this, I'm going to share with you the incredible history of tapioca. Tapioca is made from an edible root known as mandioca or cassava. It is grown all across Brazil and is an essential ingredient in Brazilian cuisine. Mandioca is a native plant to Brazil and was first domesticated approximately 7,000 years ago. It was then spread across the Americas. Tapioca is the white starch extracted when processing the mandioca root. It has been made for thousands of years and is still a celebrated component of indigenous culture today. This bit looks familiar. The word tapioca is derived from an indigenous word from the Tupi language group, tapioca, which means sediment. Early European colonists initially avoided indigenous food. However, many agricultural plants that thrived on the Iberian Peninsula, like wheat, failed in the tropical climate of colonial Brazil, and out of necessity, the diets were forced to adapt. This was further accelerated when the first of what became millions of slaves were brought into Brazil from Africa. Sold and forced into labour to support the rapidly growing plantation economy, mandioca was discovered to be a cheap and reliable food source that could feed the rapidly growing slave population. Mandioca became a major component of the Afro-Brazilian diet, which has had a huge influence on Brazilian cuisine up to today. By using slave labour and machines, the indigenous techniques of extracting tapioca starch were adopted and adapted to produce tapioca at a commercial scale. Portuguese traders realised the value of mandioca as a valuable commodity that can be sold to the old world. It reached Africa via the slave ports of Angola and Asia via the spice ports of Indonesia and India. Mandioca was on its way to becoming a very important global food source. Today, mandioca is considered a staple in South America, Asia and Africa. It is drought resistant and highly productive in poor soils, which is why over 800 million people depend on it as their primary food source every day. Finally, the hard work is over and the rehydrated starch is granulated. It's ready to cook and make pancakes. It's a beautiful Saturday morning and I'm about to ride my motorbike over to the northern beaches of Sydney to see my brother and his family, and I'm going to cook them a classic café da manhã brasileira, Brazilian style. So I have my trusty helmet, of course, keep safe, and also eu tenho minha frigideira, my frying pan. They're very important when it comes to cooking tapioca. I'll see you there. Ciao. Tapioca pancakes traditionally have a filling, and because they have a very neutral flavour, you can use anything you want. Sweets or savouries, the possibilities are endless. Now before we start cooking, I want you all to realise that what we're doing here is actually replicating an ancient Tupi Guarani cooking technique that's thousands of years old. Now this bit's actually quite easy to make the pancake. Sprinkle the tapioca granules onto a cold pan and then just shake it around until it's flat and even. Feel free to use extra flour to fill in gaps. And that's all you really need to do. Now put it back on the flame and watch in amazement as the heat fuses the granules together. This is a typical café da manhã or breakfast filling in Brazil. Ham and cheese. Now this bit's important. Once you see these granules are fused together, don't cook both sides. Only cook the first side, then add your fillings on top. Because we're gonna flip it over, as you can see, and use the heat to cook the filling inside. We don't cook the inside surface because we don't want it to get hard and brittle, and when you flip it, it'll crack in half. The texture now will be soft and chewy. This tapioca is going straight to my sobrina, Cadelia. Let's see what she thinks of it. Do you like this tapioca?
Yeah.
Yeah? What flavour is this one?
Cheese and ham.
Cheese and ham. Excellent. Which one do you like the best? Cheese and ham or just butter?
Cheese and ham.
Ah, very good. Very good. But what's your favourite bit, Cadelia?
Casual.
Now, I really encourage you to make these tapioca pancakes because they're gluten-free, they taste great, and they're quite simple to make. However, they are time-consuming. But luckily, there are many alternatives available on the market in Australia. You can get the rehydrated powder already, and you can buy the pancakes pre-made. All of these are sold by a company called Brazilian Style Foods, including the mandioca starch, which I use to make these pancakes. And I'll put a link to their website underneath this video. Espero que tenham gostado desse vídeo. Ciao.
Gusto de tapioca.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, chicken.